Hey everybody, welcome to Rockin' the Valley Cyber Speakeasy. My name is Mike, I am not for Coltrane, and today's password on the Cyber Speakeasy is Langston. Because you already know, the Rockin' the Valley Cyber Speakeasy is your source for music, conversation, and cocktails, and this is happening every Thursday from my attic stairwell. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have something tasty and refreshing to drink with us this evening. I'm going to throw things over to my guest who's here with me, Mr. Jeremy Joseph from the Big Easy Easton Brass.
Hello, sir.
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, you know, we're having some technical difficulties right off the bat, but we're gonna figure out how to make it work. And I should also say that I'm disappointed because we were really hoping that Deirdre Van Walters of Basement Poetry was going to be able to join us today. We have not heard exactly what's going on, so I hope everything is okay. I will still say, though, people should definitely check out Basement Poetry, and we would love to reschedule to have Deirdre on whenever she's available. But in the meantime, we have Jeremy Joseph from the Beeb, which is pretty cool.
All right, you're stuck with me, man. You're stuck with me for a little bit. Right? I'll tell you, I've been waiting to pop this open. I've got a Cayuga here from Unwind with Art, a Second Street business in Easton that does art and wine. And I'm going to have that today, Mike, in my glass, hand-painted Freebridge glass from Kitty's Bath and Gift Boutique down on 2nd Street, too. So this is a 2nd Street Easton combo here. I'm going to be sipping
nice. That's excellent. I'd say, what was the wine again?
A Cayuga vintage. I don't know if they call that a vintage. I think that's the kind of grape it is.
Okay.
It's Cayuga grape. And yeah, Unwind Vineyards, Easton, PA. There you go.
Very nice. Very cool. And I have here a raspberry iced tea. It's an herbal tea, so that's not to. I made the mistake on an earlier show. I did iced tea with caffeinated iced tea, and boy, that was a mistake. But we've got some herbal raspberry tea with lots and lots of raspberries in there. I don't know if you can see that. And we got about half a lemon squeezed in, and so this should be pretty tasty. For the folks who are watching along at home, let us know what you might be drinking while you have some time with us this evening. We would love to hear from you in the comments what you are drinking and what you are up to. All right, let's see. And we have some folks who are online with us who are saying hello. Let me pull it up there so I can see what all the comments are saying. All right. And okay, we've got Matt, we've got Michelle. Thanks very much to all of them for joining in. Looks like that's gonna maybe not do what I want it to do. That's unfortunate. All right, we'll see if we can get this video to catch up with where things are right now. I'm gonna do this thing again. You know, Jeremy, while I'm messing with the things over here, why don't you tell folks a little bit about what the Big Easy Easton Brass is?
Yeah, thanks, man. So Big Easy Easton Brass, it's a community band that is really kind of bringing the tradition of the Second Line Parade from New Orleans to the streets of Easton. So a Second Line Parade, it started in New Orleans. Started with funerals, actually. They would have a parade from the church to the gravesite. They'd play very sad music on the way. And then on the way back, they would play very happy music to celebrate that person's life. And along the way in New Orleans, they wanted to kind of choose just the happy part. So, for birthdays and other things, the Second Line Parade just became this joyous celebration. And it's just people walking with the band, just a brass band walking, about 10 players or so. And it's a very easy thing to deploy, and I'm just amazed at the momentum that we had in getting started.
Sure.
We started with just a handful of us coming together, enjoying the New Orleans music, and then it's kind of grown out from there. But it's really open to all ages and skill levels. And, to tell the story of how we got there, I got to tell my own story of that. I tried to be a musician in my 20s, and I failed. Completely failed, and had to go get the regular job and cut the hair at the time, and all that.
Let's back up, because I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that, because I think I think you're getting to this, but the idea of what does it mean to you from your perspective? What does it mean when you say that you failed as a musician? What does that mean?
We'll be more specific, Mike. I appreciate the detail. Let's be more specific. At the venture of trying to be able to pay your rent just solely playing a trumpet,
Yes.
that was a failure.
Yes.
I would say that's a failure. And look, I was in a band, we were doing really well, and it looked like we were going to go well. You lose your bass player, and you can't replace him fast enough, and the whole thing just topples over. I mean, that's the long story short. But it's really difficult to get that momentum, get the right people together, stay together, be on the same page, not only musically, but in life, right? And life takes people in different directions. So when you're in your 20s, it's really hard to find that fit. And for a trumpet player, I'm not going to do this alone. There's no one-man show here, right? You've got to play with other people. So Fast Track, then that dream ends, and I don't play the trumpet for 15 years. Maybe dabbled here and there, but 15 years go by of not performing. And it was just about 3 years ago that I'm at just a friend's party, and they're just jamming on some drums and a guitar and a bass, just some house party, and I'm watching, and I'm just like, man, if I had my horn here, I could just jump in right there, kind of, and just jump in with them. Why not? And it just did something of like, I don't need to go after money or with it. I'm not going to be famous. I just love doing it.
Sure.
Right. So it starts there. I just love doing it, and I want to do it again. I want to play again. So I rehearsed just at home by myself for a good 6-7 months, and then started going out to some open mics. And then eventually just watching YouTube, I saw my guy here, Trombone Shorty, on my shirt, Trombone Shorty in the Rebirth Brass Band on YouTube. And I saw them doing a second line parade, and I just lost my mind. I was like, wow, it seems so simple. It's just a brass band. And the trumpet is like the center of the sound, it's not like there's a lead vocalist or anything. So, so it just kind of perpetuated. And maybe this is something I can bring and I don't see it on the streets anywhere. So maybe this is where I can have a place to play is street music, basically, and here we are, 2 years of the band now. We're 2 years in from our very first parade. And it's been something, man.
Yeah,
it's been crazy.
It really has been something. We're gonna have you play just a little bit of live music in a few minutes here, but I want to give people some idea what we're talking about. Let me pull up the clip that shows, and this is part of a video that you put together, or that the Big Easy Easton Brass put together, has out on YouTube, and I pulled a piece of it that goes from your first rehearsal. Up through, you've got massive crowds of people on the streets of Easton with you.
It's like the first rehearsal, February of 2018, and then it goes to, I believe, October of 2019. So it's like a year and a half of, what happened.
Let me pull this up so people can get some sense of how the Big Easy Easton Brass, or the Beeb, as we refer to it, how it has evolved. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So one of the things that I absolutely love about that clip is, so it ends with and I'm refresh my memory. It's dark. Everyone's flowing down Bank Street
Yep.
and out
Yep.
onto I guess as is it Pine Street there, right by the behind Crayola and then next to the parking deck there in Easton, and the crowd just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. And to me, I think that's crucial to your idea of what's essential about the second line thing is that it's not okay. There's a core group of performers who have musical instruments with them or who don't have musical instruments with them. And then there's everybody else who has become part of the parade. And to me, that seems like that's sort of essential, that this becomes a sort of a participatory process,
Oh man,
right?
I'm glad you brought that up because this is a bad metaphor. I'm going to use some bad metaphors tonight, but like that baseball is like got that rubber, like hard rubber center, and then they wrap all this other stuff around
Okay.
it. And that's kind of what the idea with the band is
Sure.
the band is just the first piece of it.
It's the catalyst, right?
It's a catalyst. It's just
starts
it's
the
just
reaction
enough
going.
to be loud and so now we're going to wrap some things around this. So this is some of the things we've gotten to wrap around it. We've had Sarah Chilladog, one of the premier fire burners in the Lehigh Valley. She will come out with an army of hoopers and twirlers and lead the parade sometimes, and that's always an awesome thing.
Yeah.
Rebecca from Book and Puppet Company made some custom puppets, marching puppets, that she would march in the parade with us. Smartivities had like a banner, a community banner drawn that we kind of carried around with us in some of the parades. So like there's a whole nother level of creative performance around what the band is doing walking down the street.
Absolutely. And part of that is that you have people who are in the Big Easy Easton Brass who are not themselves instrument players, because you need people to do the puppets. You have people who are just wearing costumes and they're adding their And actually, is there a term for that? Because you know more about this than I do.
Well, I guess we're calling ourselves Beebsters. Big Easy Easton Brass. So Beeb is the acronym there, and so Beeb just becomes a part of everything. So Beebsters is just anybody involved with the band, and whether you play an instrument or not, you all have a role in adding to the vision and the fun. My nephew, my 9-year-old nephew, dances out in front, and he just brings so much joy to people just seeing him go for it. He just goes for it, right?
He really does.
Jen Whitlock is the Beeb queen. And her job really is just to dress awesome and dance. Like that's what she does. She looks awesome.
And she's part of the band, She's part of the band,
of course. Yeah. But then, you've got, of course, we've got some great Beeb parents, Todd and Carl, and Kathy and Celia that come around and do all kinds of just making sure that people are safe and, the street traffic is managed. But one of the other fun things that we try to do, and I try to hand out as much as I can, is blowing bubbles. I love when bubbles are filling the street. So our favorite street is going down Bank Street. There is something about this band going down Bank Street in front of the Bank Street Creamery while bubbles are blowing. And it's just, it's just what Easton is, it's what the Lehigh Valley has become,
sure.
Of course, pre-COVID, but
we'll get back to that.
It's something, it's something to see the community and celebrate the community by parading around these streets and crossing in front of these businesses, crossing in front of people's homes, stopping and doing little shows. We call that beebing. When we do a little serenade on the side of the street, that is called beebing somebody. So we're making up our own kind of vernacular,
your own vocabulary
around the band.
So, and that was one of the other clips that I had pulled, and we had a chance to touch base on this. And you're right, this is an essential aspect of both of sort of the participatory nature of what the Beeb does, but also as how do you create your own vernacular, like you said. So let me pull that clip up of a whole bunch of people getting beebed.
Getting beebed. Yes. Nice.
All right, here we are. we just got beebed. We just got beebed, just like everyone who's watching us on Rock in the Valley just got beebed, which is
just
really
got
pretty
beebed,
cool.
man.
We just got beebed.
Yeah.
And I love how the reactions that you get are all over, that some people are like, yeah, and some people are just confused and like, I don't know what's going on. You've got people, hanging out their window, filming you like, this is a thing that no one will believe unless I document that it's happening right now. You have people who are like, hey, I'm going to dance with you. I'm going to sing right along with you.
Yeah.
It does seem like in general that you get a lot of positive responses. Although I can imagine there are some people who are more comfortable with this than others.
There's been some really special moments, and there's some tear jerkers too. There's some people that we feel were maybe some lonely people that didn't expect a whole band to stop and just play just for them. And there's been some really moving moments, man. It's so hard to explain. I mean, I try to explain it to people, but when you're on the ground floor with it, and the band kind of knows, like, if I'm going to stop and I'll point, and then we all know to crowd around, and to see that person's reaction when they start to realize that this whole parade is stopping just to play.
They are now the most important person in that whole parade.
And that thing of just saying, I see you, I see you in the window, I see you on the sidewalk, and it's just been incredible. It's just been so much fun. I think that the band really loves it, and it's just something that, look, if you're watching, you can be a part of it, even if you play an instrument or don't, and really it comes down to, Mike, that the Lehigh Valley especially has a long tradition of high school marching bands and great music programs.
Absolutely.
Okay. I was Easton High School 95. So I graduated Easton High School 95. My marching band went to the Rose Bowl. We went to the Citrus Bowl. We did things. And as a kid from Easton, from Northampton Street in Easton, not from the suburbs, I never would have seen what I saw if I weren't in marching band. And, the sad thing is that for all the time and effort that everybody puts into learning these marching band instruments, once you get out of high school, if you're not going to go pro, you are most likely never going to play it again. And I'm going to tell you, I say this all the time. My message for everybody is, after 15 years of not playing and picking it back up again, I really understand what it's about now. It's not the end goal isn't about what money I made or if we made a profession out of it. The end goal was having a great and fun life. Like, the Beeb is a lifestyle. We have fun. Sure. We go to places and we celebrate things. Yeah. And we're there at the happiest moments, and that's what it's about, and so it's not something where, we usually play for free. We don't get paid. We get paid in food. The biggest sponsor I'd have to give a shout out to is the Bayou. The Bayou would feed us after every second line parade we did in Easton during Easton Out Loud. The Bayou reserved a room for us.
Wow. And I gotta say though, that's also really on brand for everyone involved. That's great. That's excellent.
And what's so funny is, the owners of the Bayou, Christian specifically, call him out. They sponsored the Trombone Shorty concert at Music Fest, and they were up on stage before Trombone Shorty came on, and they're like, "Man, this is awesome music. We need to find a band like this." And at the same time, then I'm sitting somewhere and I'm coming up with this. I'm waking up some Saturday morning being like, I should start this kind of band. And, my sister actually knew him, Christian, from the Bayou, and put us in touch. And right away he jumped on it and, undying support, never questioned it, and has been there for us since the beginning. So the Bayou and Christian and Easton, thank you so much. You really cemented the family that the band became by allowing us to share a meal after these shows and allow us to get to know each other. That was really awesome.
Absolutely. Well, and I also, I know that you, even just hearing you talk about this, you're a guy who thinks about all of this. It's like, hey, we're going to go, we're going to have fun. And what does that mean for our community? And like you just said, sometimes when you go up to someone and, hey, now you got beebed, that maybe that's someone who was feeling disconnected from the people around them. That you're thinking of this as sort of like at a meta level, like what is using music this way do for our community? Which is really cool. Yeah.
I want to compete with the fanfare of a high school football game. Everybody packs a stadium to come in to watch, and football. and trying to compete with that as a community event. I'd love to see what the power of art could do. Art, dance, music, I'd love to get to the band to a point where we're marching up Northampton Street to go into Cottingham Stadium, and we're part of some kind of art carnival that just invites everybody in to participate, amateurs to professionals. I'd love to see artists set up with blank canvases next to them, just inviting people to draw with them. Chairs next to people with the band with tambourines on it, just inviting them to shake along. And even food artists, inviting people to learn how to, concoct incredible meals,
Sure.
I think that there's something to do with bringing the arts together in a carnival setting that's also participatory, that people don't spectate. You're not allowed to be in the stands. You're down on the field participating in the art and music and the dance that's happening. You could have dancers, you could have, if I'm going to tell you what my secret 10-year plan is that's kind of it, is to keep adding so many layers to this baseball that it grows, and that we can show something that's like a different way for a community to come together and share our talents, and have that sense of community in a different way. And so that, we'll see what happens. I don't know. The band's cool for now, though, right?
The band is great. And it's great. And I want to get back to this because we'll talk a little bit more about this a little bit later in the show. But that, there have been some really cool opportunities that you've gotten to make these connections in communities through other performers and through other events and folks in Easton and folks in Bethlehem, all sorts of cool stuff. But it makes me think too about, thing that I learned through Dave Fry about Pete Seeger. Pete Seeger's, one of his key ideas was this sense of music is not about, when you have people sing together, that builds community. And that it's different, and that the experience is sort of fundamentally different from I'm watching this other person perform versus I'm part of the performance. And to hear, you absolutely hear it in Pete Seeger. When you listen to those recordings, he's got, he has an entire auditorium or entire stadium, that is his backup singers, right? Or they're all the chorus all together, and he's just there to lead them. And I think how does Dave put it? That it's when you get not the song in their ears, but get the song on their lips. And Dave also adds when you get the song on their hips too, right? To sort of have the experience of dance, and so it's something that Dave does in his education. But it's very much in Dave's work as a teaching artist, but it's also something that's very much along the lines of what you do. Whereas hey, let's get bubbles out. Get people participating that way, or let's put tambourines out on chairs, like you were just saying. What is a way that people become part of this artistic process, regardless of their whether they've ever even picked up an instrument before? Yeah,
I'll go sciencey on you. Have you heard of cymatics?
I haven't. Go for it.
Well, cymatics, and you got to look up the video on YouTube to really understand it. But what it is they show these experiments with fine grains of sand on a plate. And then they play a note, and the sand goes into some geometric pattern. And then they play a different note, and it changes to a different geometric pattern. And they're showing how sound changes matter, and it has this organizing factor of these beautiful patterns. So I'd like to believe that they're on a vibratory level, when you're singing together, you're aligning something even more, that's in our matter, in our essence. And, when I see those cymatics videos, it really makes me think, wow, if that's happening, then it's amazing to see it, these perfect geometric shapes of different kinds and patterns form with different tones. And so you think if that's just what one tone can do to a little bit of sand, what is it, with you and your guitar when you're playing, and you're playing a song that, maybe somebody remembers and they're singing along even in their head, even if they're not, it's almost a form of kind of coming together in a different dimension. As crazy as that sounds.
Absolutely.
But I think the unity that can come from singing together and playing together is very important. And I think that folks that have been in the parades, they look left and right, and just like you're like, I'm in something right now. Something's happening,
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and actually that this whole idea about participatory music and Pete Seeger specifically reminds me that at the top of the show we got our beverages out and then I sped right past the part where I was supposed to play music. And we got to talk about the beat, which is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it's okay with you, I'm going to pause right now. I'm going to get the guitar out again, and I'll do a song that it was inspired by Pete Seeger and this idea because Pete Seeger, you may have heard me do this song before. But that he had on his banjo words to the effect of "This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender." And like, wow, that's
interesting.
That's powerful. I mean, and
obviously, a weapon,
right? Exactly, yeah. Exactly. So this song that we're gonna do now is called "This Machine Surrounds Hate and Will Force It to Surrender," and it sort of builds on that idea. So I'm going to put the camera back on just me, and I'm going to grab the guitar that I have squirreled away back here, and yeah, there we are. Okay. So yeah, I was thinking about that idea that this machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. Think, what would that machine sound like, maybe? I gotta remember key steps to actually make this work, because otherwise... Ha! There we go. Alright. So that machine would be like maybe... That sounds like a pretty powerful machine. Maybe also... I kept thinking about that. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. Maybe... kept saying those words. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. A melody started coming together. It sounded like this machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. I am the hammer that bends the steel, pounding and smashing. No irons could withstand me. Swords into clouds, break the guns on the cold hard ground. I am the bell that rings out danger, clanging and pealing. An end to oppression, no more with the silence. Just ring me so hard till I crack. And when we crash together, we will sound the call for freedom. When we crash together, we will tear down every stupid wall. Let's make Pete Seeger proud. Wherever you are, sing along with me now. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. that will bear down upon all fear. I am the forge that burns with compassion, white hot with love for every beating heart, melting division to make something new and strong. And when we burn and break, we will create that tension. When we burn and break, we will make something altogether new. Make it new. Make it new. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. I am just a tiny bolt. My threads start to strip, barely holding it together to fall through the cracks. Alone I am so damn small. But I am part of something more, an engine of change that will reshape a nation, a force with more power than any seen on earth before. When we hold together, we will not be afraid. When we hold together, we shall overcome. 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 This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. A little bit louder now. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. A little bit louder now. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. Make them hear us. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. They can't ignore us. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. To surrender. To surrender. There you go. This machine surrounds hate and will force it to surrender. Let me put Jeremy back up here so we can talk to each other once again.
Woohoo!
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
The intensity, man.
Oh. There's well, that's part of the performance, right? You know, and I think you experience that too when you're playing with the Beeb or you're playing with anybody else. Is that, you know, what are the emotions that I'm channeling as part of this, and how does my emotional expression through the music, through my facial expression, through the way I move my body, how does all of that connect with other people? How do I use every aspect of my body as an instrument to try to communicate whatever it is that we're focused on? So yeah,
I mean, if you don't feel it, how do you expect them to?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice.
You know, I would love to hear if you would be. I think you have your trumpet handy. I'd love to hear something live from you too. And
I'm always worried about the sound quality on Zoom here, so I'll just play something really short. And look, you can't get away from the civil unrest that's happening in the country and the fight for equal rights. And I think all of us are getting a lot more educated and spending a lot more time watching videos and listening to perspectives. And I came across a song that I wasn't aware of, that I've come to know, that is known as the Black National Anthem. And it's called Lift Every Voice and Sing. It was written in 1900 as a poem and then put to words just a few years later, and has been sung in churches, sung in different Black communities since then. And, the NAACP labeled it the Black National Anthem. And I learned it's a very beautiful song, and I played it at the Easton protests, and I thought I'd just play that today. It'll only take a minute here, so I'm going to try to knock that out.
Please do.
I don't know how that sounds, but
that sounded great. I'm sure folks were. Oh man, that's so good. That's so good. And actually, that reminds me of something else that I wanted to ask you about, which is I didn't know until recently that you're part of you have a Lebanese heritage in your family, which makes it all the more sort of amazing and wonderful how you got connected with this second line idea. And so tell me what was the kind of music you listened to growing up, or that your family was into, or that, how...
Yeah, there's a tie. There's definitely a tie with the Lebanese community. Unfortunate, today they announced Lebanese Heritage Days is canceled, so it's a very, very sad day. 43 years. The festival has been going on since the year I was born.
This is the Lebanese festival in Easton.
The Lebanese festival in Easton,
Easton, people may not know is that, in fact, I think you may be able to educate some folks about this, but that Easton continues to have a really vibrant Lebanese American community. And the history of how all that and how it's intertwined with Easton's history is I think still fascinating.
Well, yeah, and a difference is it's the Lebanese community, although Arabic, is Christian. It's a Catholic Maronite church that is on 4th Street that the community centered around and built itself around. Actually, down in 4th Street, there were 3 different ethnicities that populated that area: African Americans, Italians, and the Lebanese. And they were a very, very tight-knit community, neighborhood. Right. 4th Street was actually, the center of the Lebanese community, but that whole area there that now is really empty. The Days Insight.
And that church there, people may be able to, if you're going down 4th Street, it's the one that's right behind the older parking deck there by Crayola. So it's the white colored church
there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That whole area used to be a lot of townhomes and row homes, and something came in called urban renewal. And I tell a story on our YouTube site, wherever, that Tim Hare came in and kind of saved the city of Easton from being completely demolished as part of urban renewal, which is a whole other story in itself. But before urban renewal came in and basically knocked these communities down and scattered these communities out to the suburbs and really disconnected us from our culture. I never saw what 4th Street was when the Lebanese community was there. By the time I was born, it was all gone. There's just the church that was really left. But before it was all destroyed, there was a thing that the community would do, and that was they had the Italian band would come down the street playing this song that they called Number 9. That's not the name of the song. It's just the 9th song in their portfolio. It's actually called Caderna. But that was a big, big deal, and the Lebanese people would just go crazy when the Italians would come down the street playing that song. So there was a lot of, just a lot of joy that brought. And that was my dad's biggest memory of 4th Street that he would talk about. And that definitely imprinted something on me.
Yeah.
You know, that this image of this parade band coming down the street.
Right.
Okay, it's really hard to play. I don't know how well the horn sounded, but I have Caderna here. I think I could rip off a little bit of this Italian tune.
I would love it.
Because it's such a memory for my father. He tracked the sheet music down, and I had to learn how to play it. It is very difficult. But I learned how to play his favorite part of it. I'll go ahead and give it a shot.
Yeah, please do.
I wasn't planning on this, but
hey, you know.
Okay, here we go. So a little bit of Easton history right there for number 9, Caderna. Yeah, that was a big part of that community, and definitely influenced the decision to have a band parade down the street. You know, I kind of hear the ghosts of my ancestors in a sense when we go down those streets, and it's been awesome.
That is really amazing. Oh, and we wanted to highlight here Tom Cooney, who is another great singer-songwriter here in the Lehigh Valley, who's been supporting stuff, the webcast that I've been doing for quite a while. He pointed out that he just got through streaming the wonderful HBO series Treme.
Yeah.
And speaking of Trombone Shorty, I believe there's some connection there too, right?
Yeah, that's actually Trombone Shorty here. My shirt has Treme right on the shirt, so you're calling it out. Yeah, and in that first scene, the trombone player in the actor that's in that show is trying to catch up to the Rebirth Brass Band doing a second line parade with Trombone Shorty. And you'll see all kinds of Kermit Ruffins is in it. There's just all kinds of great notable New Orleans musicians in that. And really it was Katrina that started this. You know, when Katrina hit New Orleans, it sent a lot of these bands to leave New Orleans and do national tours to raise money. And that brought a whole new awareness of that music. And it's just been incredible to see it grow. And, you know, we're just doing the best we can to represent it as well as we can for Easton.
Absolutely. Well, and with very much it's not like this is an audition-only group that you have there with the Big East Easton Brass.
Oh, no.
It's very, very much designed to be inclusive, you know, and what's the age range of folks that you have who are playing with the Beeb these days?
Yeah, from 9 to 74.
That is awesome.
9 to 74.
Yeah.
And you know, look, it doesn't matter how good you are. It really doesn't. You know, I just want you to have fun playing. We're loud. You know, if you're not that good, you can hide in our sound, no problem. But yeah, I mean, again, it's trying to. I know there's more high school marching band musicians out there that haven't picked up their horn in maybe decades, or maybe 2 years, or maybe 50. But this is your chance, you know, to just come and play again, you know, and be in a band like that, have that sense of community, and offer something to the rest of the community by sharing that music. I'll tell you, Mike, we're going to be rehearsing July 1st, Wednesday at 7 o'clock outside down at Scott Park. Normally we do it at the community center, but with everything with COVID, I just wanted a nice outdoor area. And two, you know, if you happen to be walking by on the park, you can stop and check out our rehearsals just right out there in the open for everybody to see.
That is very cool. So what time is that going to be?
7 o'clock, July 1st, this Wednesday. Every first and third Wednesday, we do a rehearsal at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. So that's the cadence of the band. It's an every 2-week rehearsal commitment. If you're a professional musician, though, you can come out. If you just want to learn When the Saints Go Marching In and jump in with us, I don't care. It's fine. There's no sign-up list. There's no official thing. You know, if you just happen to see us marching down the street and you know how to play the tune, jump in.
You know, I do want to. One of the things that's really cool about it is that there have been so many opportunities that you've gotten to, and if, you know, so folks who can be part of the band who then get connected with all these other venues and other performers and other cool things that you've done. There are things that you've gotten to do at Music Fest. There are things you've gotten to do through Touchstone Theater with Festival Unbound, which, by the way, just was recognized with an award. I think that came out through the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
and you know, and you were talking about the fire performer. I'm sorry,
Sarah Chilla with World Dreams, and you know, JP from the Touchstone Theater was such a great partner in partnership. You know, when we did the first Jacopus Punch, we didn't know what we were walking into.
Neither did he.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like, what are these guys doing? They got little kids with them. They're running around in the back. You know, like they're a little worried about what this was going to be. But you know, little did we know we were coming into a musical family that you are a part of. You were the MC that night, and the second year we did it too. And you know, the opportunities that led from these relationships, and to some of the relationships that just have from seeing great Easton artists like Carter Lansing. I know you got a clip of us playing with him. You know, my goal is I don't think I could ever commit to being in a real band like I used to, but I would love to just be able to play one or two songs with every musician in town. And I'd love a night where I could walk around town, go to one place, play a couple tunes, have a drink with my wife, and then go to another place, play a couple tunes and maybe some different style. I just, you know, it's so awesome to get music back in your life and it not have to be about a career or trying to make money off of it. It is really liberating, you know, for those that don't have to make it about that, but can still play.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, let me pull up that clip that has you with Carter, a small but not insignificant part of the Acoustic Kitty project. In fact, a past guest on this show, as well as some of the cool things that you did with Jacopus Punch, who is of course the house band at Touchstone Theater, and all sorts of other cool things. So I'm going to pull that clip up right now.
Thank you.
I'm picking the brightness for our brotherly love beyond basic. I'm blessed, so breathe it in and remember, this is only the beginning. Folks on gallows still like to hang around. Folks on gallows still like to hang around. Up there you see everything in town.
So many great collaborations there. I don't even know where to start.
It's only been like 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
2 years.
That's a lot in 2 years. And in fact, seeing some of the personnel there, it reminds me that we should call out some of the other folks who were instrumental in creating the Big Easy Easton Brass. Art Charlton has been a big supporter of the webcasts and whatnot that I've been doing here as Not for Coltrane. So Art was also then one of there were three of you, right, who put together this idea?
Art Charlton was the very first member of the Big Easy Easton Brass who responded to a Facebook message I sent. Then Steve Nalvenko responded to a Craigslist ad I put up. And Gene Pomander responded to a Facebook group message that was somewhere I posted. And then Ken Gross, our musical director, who had been a professional for so many years and brought such a level of experience with him. And then we get Lisa Silvius, who does our music and arranges our music. And man, I could just go on and on. Caden Flowers, the amazing sousaphone player, Don Skelly on our baritone. Man, this is going to be rough because then I can't leave anybody out. I got to go Claudio on bass drum and Jacob on snare and Steve Rad that came in killing it with his outfit and his blue sequin shirt and suit that he wears, and Liz and Jen Whitlock who came in and just adds so much flair, and I just love them so much. And Steve Becker, who was one of our great stories, who hadn't picked up his saxophone for over 30 years. And came into the group. Jonathan Fenwick, our youngest member that joined, that I think he was maybe 11 or 12 at the time. Joey Keys on baritone, one of our other kid members in the group. Man, I keep going. Tom Morales on sax. Man, just so much of a family that we become. Lane Wilder on trumpet,
and your nephew, right? Your nephew was clearly visible in a couple of those clips that we just saw there too.
Oh yeah, and that's my parents holding the banner too, by the way. So I got my parents holding the banner. I got my nephew dancing. I got my wife will come and play tambourine or shoot film or do whatever I beg her to do. So it's really been quite the family affair. Absolutely. And it's been rewarding.
I've got to ask, what is your dry cleaning bill like? Because that suit, that amazing suit with the gold and the purple and the green, where did you find it? How do you keep it clean? Because when you're out there performing, you've got to be sweating a whole lot. How do you make that work?
Yeah, sweat's that's a tough problem, man. It was tough with the dress. There were a lot of first shows I was trying to find what the look was, and when I found that suit, and I got to keep the secret where I got it, because you don't want everybody walking around with it.
Fair enough.
Very few people are going to want to walk around in that suit. But what I knew is that I need to set the mark for looking silly so everybody else can look silly and not feel silly.
True.
So I set the bar. I'm going to be the silliest looking. I'm going to be the loudest. I'm going to set the bar for how crazy we can get. So everybody around me can just bring it, because I'm going to bring it. So, and then we do. Everybody dresses up pretty great. I think we got a really great crew.
That's very, very cool. And people can check out the open rehearsal that you have coming up on Wednesday, July 1st, you said, right?
Yep.
7 o'clock at Scott Park, down there by the riverfront over there in Easton.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see some pop-up parades, man. We'll see soon. So, Mike, thanks for having me, man.
Jeremy, thank you so much for being here and spending the whole hour with me. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put it back on me for a moment, and then I'll give us do a little bit of an outro here. Because coming up right now, right at this very moment, Steve Jones here at Rock in the Valley is starting up the weekly piano pub. So go check out all the wonderful performers who are checking things out over there and being part of it. And talk about participating and bringing in music from the community. That's a great way to do it over there. My name is Mike. I'm Not for Coltrane. Thank you so much for being here with me for the past hour. Please check out next week's Cyber Speakeasy here from Rock in the Valley. We're your source for music, conversation, and cocktails. My name is Mike. I'm Not for Coltrane. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you next time.